Today we're going to be testing the NV890101MWTXGEVB Fixed Frequency Monolithic Buck Switching Regulator Evaluation Board by ON Semiconductor. The equipment we'll be using today will be a DC power supply capable of outputting between 0 and 36 volts DC, and that will go to the input on our boards, and the output of our board will go to our DC electronic load, and that is going to be set for 1.2 amps for this procedure. And for the connections to our board, our DC power supply will be hooked to both VIN and ground on our board, and our outputs to our DC electronic load will be hooked to both Vout and another ground point on our board, and our output will also be hooked to a voltmeter in order to measure our output voltage at the terminals. And we will also have a DC enable voltage hooked to both EN and ground, and that will be set for 3 volts for the enable voltage. And to begin the test, first we're going to go ahead and start with our enable voltage turned off. And our DC power supply will be set to 13.2 volts DC, and we're going to turn it on. And here we can see that we have 0 volts on our output because we haven't enabled our circuit yet. So we'll do that now with our 3 volts. And we can see here that we have our 3.3 volts on our output. And now on our DC electronic load, we're going to make sure we have 1.2 amps of output set to constant current mode. And we're going to turn our load on. And here we can see we have our 1.2 amps of output current. And here we can see that we still have our output voltage at approximately 3.3 volts. And next, back at our DC source voltage, we're going to set it now to 36 volts DC. And here once again we can see that we still have approximately 3.3 volts on our output. And our output current remains at 1.2 amps. And for the next step, we're going to drop our input source voltage down to 6 volts DC. And here we can see that we still have approximately 3.3 volts on our output. And the current remains at 1.2 amps. And for the next step, we're going to take our DC source voltage, and we are now going to lower it to 3.9 volts DC. And now we can see that we have 0 volts on our output. And now we're going to raise our input voltage back to 6 volts. And here we can see that our output voltage has returned to approximately 3.3. And we can also see that our output current has returned to 1.2 amps. And finally, we're going to turn off our enable voltage. And once that turns off, our output voltage will drop to 0. This concludes the test of the NV890101MWTXGEVB Fixed Frequency Monolithic Switching Evaluation Board. For more information, please visit www.onsemi.com or contact an authorized distributor.